Hey, Startup Nation. Imagine a job where you can work wherever you want, on whatever you want, from wherever you want. Hello to white sand beaches of Thailand or the comfort of your own couch. Oh, and most importantly, you're your own boss. Now, what if I told you that the dream job could become your reality? This is the life of a freelancer, and with some hard work and with the help of Hectic, it can be your life too. Hectic is an all-in-one business management software built specifically for freelancers who are just getting started or looking to take their freelance business to the next level. Hectic is everything a freelancer needs to get started, from an easy-to-use contracts and proposal builder to client management and project tracking to expenses and invoicing that features click-to-play technology that makes it quick and easy for freelancers to get paid. And we all want to get paid, Startup Nation. Built specifically for freelancers, Hectic is everything you need to get started. Visit gethecticapp.com/the startup life now to learn more and start for free. Yep. Adding your first client on the platform will always be free. And if you sign up through gethecticapp.com/the startup life, you'll be supporting me and this podcast, because who couldn't use a little support these days, Startup Nation? Visit gethecticapp.com/the startup life to find everything you need to start or grow your freelancing business today, and put those in-demand skills to good use in the way you've always dreamed of. The link is there in the show notes.
It's time to be about that life, the startup life. Here's your host, Dominic Lawson.
All right, Startup Nation. So I hope you're ready to receive some value today. My name is Dominic Lawson, and this is the Startup Life, the show for entrepreneurs and career-minded professionals. You know, Startup Nation, it's that season, tax season, right? You know, got to get those 1040s and all them forms all squared away and stuff like that. And I know this is a time of year, even outside of a pandemic, where we start to want to pull our hair out and stuff like that. But today we have a fantastic guest for you here on our first time recording here on Clubhouse. So if you're listening to the replay on the podcast, appreciate that. If you listen to the replay on the podcast and you want to go ahead and try to get on Clubhouse, follow us here on whatever I think at Startup Life. I think that's what it is. I'm sorry, Startup Nation. I am new to Clubhouse, so I'm trying to figure this thing out. But if you want to be part of the Q&A conversations, we're going to keep doing this from time to time. But if you want to do that, follow us here on Clubhouse, so that way we can get that real studio audience feel. But back to today's task at hand, we have Ashley Garrison of GRF Financials here on the ones and twos. Ashley, what's up?
Hey, hi, Dominic. How are you?
You know me, living a dream. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about it.
No, me and Ashley have been friends for a long time, and so I'm so glad to have her on the show and talk about, you know, her venture and kind of give us some help, because it's tax season and we need help. But before absolutely. And but before we get into that, Ashley, you know, I know, you know, you just celebrated a year in business, right? Talk about
not exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's been more like 3 years in business.
Gotcha.
1 year solely dependent upon the income derived from my business.
Gotcha. Okay, I got you. Get me right now. I appreciate that. But like, kind of talk about this past year, because this past year has been kind of crazy for all of us who have been business leaders.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
So the 1 year kind of hit me, I didn't even realize. I didn't have it marked on the day. I went to my Facebook memories and I was like, you did quit last year this time. It wasn't something that I really made known at the time,
right?
But because I was walking out on faith, and sometimes I was just a little quiet. I was a little hesitant to pub that, but I quit February 28th of 2020. I had the flu that same day I quit. I had the flu, so over the weekend I was kind of, you know, going through it. So I really started having my day established midweek of that first week of March, right? Like really trying to get into my groove. And then they canceled schools and then they closed the world down and everything stopped. So it freaked me out a little bit because I was concerned about not having my, 9 to 5 income that I was dependent upon.
Right.
But it really worked out. It worked out, and here I am a year later, and I made it through the storm. I'm sure there are going to be other storms to come, but yeah, I'm here and I'm happy.
Got you. No, like I said, we unfortunately we've had a lot of business owners not make it through the past 12, 13 months. You know what I mean? And
absolutely,
we, here at the Startup Life, our heart goes out to them because it's just crazy because you create this thing, you build this thing, and then out of nowhere, something not a lot of people expected to kind of come and just like, it just wipe it all away. You know what I mean? Almost
everything out of your control.
Right.
You did everything right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Almost overnight, if you will. Yeah. So, but that's neither here nor there. But like, again, Startup Nation, we're here with Ashley Garrison, founder of GRF Financials. And if you want to check out everything she's got going on, or if you need some help, because I know you do, go ahead and click the website link there in the show notes. If you listen to the replay on the podcast. So Ashley, help us out because we need your help. Okay.
All right.
So, were you about to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, all right, I'm helping you out.
All right, let's do it. So let me ask you this. At what point should I start, put my business, filing on my taxes and stuff like that? Because like, look, let's say I'm first year in business and stuff like that. I've always done the little 1040 EZ and stuff like that. Do I need to do something a little different or is a whole separate tax form? Kind of shares with us about that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of people are hesitant when they're first starting their business to incorporate it into their personal tax return.
Right.
And understandably so, because that's a whole nother field that they, haven't even looked at.
Right.
But the answer is that the IRS, Uncle Sam, wants to know and wants a piece of every dollar you make. So if you're making $1 or no dollars, they want to know. And even more so of the fact that you are legally required to report this income, it can be beneficial in your startup years to report your loss. Because that can offset your W-2 wages or any other income you have coming in. So I have heard a lot of times people like, well, I lost money, so I'm not going to even do it. Well, that can offset your loss. However, there is something in the works that is kind of coming to an end, having the loss offset wages.
Okay.
That you're, but it can carry on to future years. So it can't offset the wages of your current year, but it'll offset the earnings from your business for future years. So if you're operating at a loss in 2021, but 2022, you're operating at an income, that loss that you had in 2021 can carry over and reduce that income.
Gotcha. So you really have to do, that long-term thinking. Cause I think that's a lot of things. That's one of those things that like doesn't really, a lot of people don't think about when it comes to preparing taxes. Like you kind of have to, it's not just about filing and putting the information in from the past year, but also kind of planning for the future. A lot of people don't think about that part.
Absolutely.
So, gotcha. I appreciate that. So, look, we're all trying to get the big refund check. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people like, tax time, get some stuff like that, catch up on some bills. So what are some of the biggest tax savings that, we can do as business owners to kind of help us out with that?
I think the number one tax savings you can do is hire a professional.
Okay.
You doing it yourself or, getting someone. I hear all the time, I had a tax person. What's a tax person? Not a tax person. Get you a professional, preferably someone that is has a niche in your field.
Right.
Because those are the ones that are most, know the most deductions that are geared specifically for your industry. But a tax professional, that little cost, that extra cost that you'll have to pay a tax professional versus, your cousin or somebody doing it will offset when you're talking about tax savings or the potential to avoid penalties and interest if things are filed incorrectly.
Gotcha. Well, Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. It sounded like you were about to say something else.
Yeah, I was going to say also being very strict with how you calculate your books every month or throughout the year. Being strict on that process, making sure you know what you've spent and what you made, so you can properly put that on your forms and pay the correct amount of income.
Right.
Again, avoiding penalties and interest.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this, because you talked about avoiding penalties and interest and stuff like that, and you talked about like having your cousin do your tax return and stuff like that. I want to ask you this, though, because look, there's a lot of people, when it comes to business owners, there's a lot of people who try to scam those same business owners. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so when we talk about people who does who's a tax person, quote unquote, or a CPA like yourself, I guess I'm asking when I'm trying to get the right person to kind of look out for me, what are some of those questions I should be asking that person to make sure they're looking out for me, make sure they're on the up and up and stuff like that? Because like I said, we got a lot of scammers out there.
You do. I think that if you go to a professional, you are for the most part safe. Of course, everybody doesn't walk a straight line, but
right.
To have that certification of CPA, you're required to, one, have continuous education on a yearly basis, and two, you are required to abide by certain ethics.
Right. So
you kind of are in a good place if you get someone that is a certified professional accountant. However, if not, there are also another certification called an EA, and they're like a mini CPA, but they only focus on taxes. I think they're a good start too.
Gotcha.
But even so, you don't want anyone that does a percentage of your refund as their fees. They assess your fees based off of your refund, because that shows that that gives them the incentive to make your refund bigger.
Gotcha.
Right? Mm-hmm. Which sounds great, but your refund should be what your refund is.
Gotcha.
Based on facts.
Gotcha.
It's not a game. It's not a well, let me move some money here. Your refund should be based on facts. So
Gotcha.
take that incentive to falsely record anything, because after you paid them, they're gone. They owe the IRS nothing. And especially if they're not even registered with the IRS, they've gotten their money, they're gone. You're responsible for the penalties and fees.
It's fun. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's funny you mentioned that part, right? Because it seems like, and I don't know how true this story is, and maybe it is, maybe it's not, I don't know. But we were hearing stories last year when the stimulus package was kind of being rolled out and stuff like that, and they had other people preparing their taxes, that those stimulus monies were going to the people who prepared and not necessarily, the person it was for. I didn't even think about stuff like that. So, and the reason I wanted to ask you about the red flag, because I'm remembering here in Memphis a while ago, I think it was Mo Money Taxes that had them funny commercials, but it seemed like they wasn't necessarily on the up and up. Once again, Startup Nation, we are talking to Ashley Garrison, founder and CPA of GRF Financials. And if you need tax help, because it is tax season, make sure you go ahead and listen to the replay on the podcast. In the show notes, you will have her link for her website and everything and all her credentials there. And also, once again, we are recording this for the first time, the first Startup Life podcast episode on Clubhouse. We're super excited about that. Just a new way to engage with you, Startup Nation. So that way, go ahead, follow us on Clubhouse. And if you have a question, you can go ahead. I will let the people know that are in here right now that we are recording. So this will be posted on the show notes and the website and stuff like that. So if you're not a fan of being recorded, I'm letting you know right now. But if you do have questions for Ashley, make sure go ahead and raise that hand. Looks like we got one person right now. I'm gonna go ahead and bring them up in just a second. But we are so excited to Startup Nation to kind of do this with you on Clubhouse and engage with you on a whole new way. Let me go ahead and bring this person up. This is my sister-in-law right here. Big fan of hers and stuff like that. So I think there we go. All righty. So
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Bimini. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, brother-in-law.
No worries. It looks like you had a question for Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. Just real quick. So just for clarification, it may be posted on the platform as Dominic mentioned, but can you clarify, like, how do you look up like a number associated with your certification? Like if I want to verify your certification number on a website, is there like a place where you can look that up?
Yes. I want to say it's the Tennessee Secretary of State. Tennessee Revenue Department.
Is it Department of Revenue for the state of Tennessee?
Yeah, I think it's the Department of Revenue for the state of Tennessee. All you gotta do is Google Tennessee Accounting Board, and it should give you the link, and you can look up a person's name to see if they're active.
Okay, thank you.
If they have an active license, no problem.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you so much for that question, Bimini. Appreciate that for sure. And if you would, just go ahead and mute that mic so we won't get that feedback as well. I appreciate it. Looks like we have another question. You know, one of my favorite people, you know, she kind of dope. My wife, Kenda, looks like she has a question. Come on, executive producer of the Startup Life podcast. What you got?
All right. I think I might unfortunately know the answer to my first question, so I'm going to ask two. My first question is, okay, as a business owner, you don't necessarily have a uniform and some things that you will be able to deduct in other industries. So is there a way to write off or give yourself a certain, allowance? Do you get any credit for things that you do that are, a part of maintaining your brand and that sort of thing? And if not, what are some of the most common things that people fail or don't know that they can deduct? Okay.
That is a very tricky question. It depends. That's always the answer. It depends. I would like to say no. If you cannot prove, so in order to claim a deduction for your business, the purchase has to be necessary and reasonable. And clothing, getting your hair done and all that, is that necessary for your business? If you did not have this business, would you still make that same expense? Or did you have to buy this particular clothing, wear your hair in this particular style, or get your makeup done for this particular reason? And is it directly related to business? And a lot of times that's a really sticky situation and hard to prove with the IRS. So can you deduct it? Sure. Will the IRS come back and say it? No. Very possibly. Very possibly. Some common deductions for business owners that are often overlooked. One is the use of their homes. If you have now you have to have a dedicated space in your home for your home office. It's best to support that with pictures, but you can basically, the proportion of the room to your home, you can proportion out your bills to your business. So you get that deduction. You get the deduction for the business use of your car, for any miles that you drive on your car. It can be done proportionately to the amount of miles you drive business reasons, or it can be done just on a basic mileage level, but you cannot do both. I'm sorry, mileage cost, but you can't do both. I like to use my cell phone. I just write that off as a business expense in totality because I could not conduct business without my cell phone. So I don't do proportion there, just that's a business expense. Let's see. Internet also is something that I consider a business expense. It's on that grounds of no, but I think the type of internet I have is absolutely necessary to conduct my business. Yeah, I think that's the ones that people kind of don't really think about.
Does that answer your question, Kenda? I think we might have lost Kenda just for a little bit. Okay.
Sorry,
there it is.
Experimenting with this mic.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that does answer my question. I'm a little disappointed, of course, by the first one.
Yes, of course.
But I guess that this is maybe a follow-up question. I'm curious to see if there's a different answer. As so many of us have kind of transitioned into, like, I know myself, I kind of got kicked out of my home office. By children. And now I've
For
had to
school?
kind of yes, and create like backup spots for myself. So I guess I'm curious, like how this transition, or what should we pay attention to in light of last year in particular?
Unfortunately,
I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Kenda, the IRS or the government has not put in a lot of mandates or regulations to help benefit individuals that are working from home, that are employees and or, in education. Even though that has made a big shift in our lives, they really hadn't done anything to help or provide some relief on that. So if this is not a permanent change of your home office, I would keep it the same. I wouldn't make that change if it's not a permanent change. If it's a permanent change, you're never going back to your home office, then yes, change it. But if you do plan on getting your office back, just keep it the same on your taxes. It's fine.
All right, Kenda, thank you so much for that question. Really appreciate it from a content point of view and a personal point of view. I appreciate that for sure. Once
John,
again, what's up?
I have the answer to the first question.
Go for it.
The Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance.
Okay.
And it's verify.ten.gov.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
You can go on that website to verify.
Thank you so much. And that's for the state of Tennessee, correct?
That's correct. That's
okay.
State of Tennessee.
All right. I would imagine, Startup Nation, if you are somewhere else, then you probably will refer to something similar in your state or your country, wherever you may be. Just quick to reset the room real quick. Once again, Startup Nation, we are talking to Ashley Garrison, founder and CPA of GRF Financials. And if you're ready to get that tax help today, go to grffinancials.com. We have a link there in the show notes for easy access if you're listening to the replay on the podcast. And also, can I put your phone number out there as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, let me get out there as well. That phone number is 901-728-2412, 901-728-2412. And it looks like we have another question for you, Ashley. Give me just a second here. All righty, there we go. Rob,
Hello.
What's up?
Hey, how you guys doing?
All right, looks like you got a question.
I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Lord.
And they're all about the gray area. I know this is Ashley's favorite.
Yes.
So
love it.
My question, the first one is, do you prefer to work in the gray area at all, or do you strictly work with pretty much like white and black?
Well, I think with taxes, like I said, it depends. It depends. And if there is some gray area, I really make sure that my clients understand that this can be taken differently. This is not white and black. It's it depends situation. And I usually make sure that I write up something to let them know that, so I can note that I've informed you that things might result differently than what's expected.
Okay.
But I think as a business owner, you're always going to be in the gray area. Taxes can't be black and white all the time.
Well, let me ask you this as a follow-up. Do you have any clients that are entrepreneurs that are more risk averse than others, where they may or may not be more pushy in regards to claiming additional deductions?
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, so I kind of made mention to it earlier. As your tax preparer, I am not responsible for verifying the information that is provided to me. As a due diligence, I review it and let you know if something doesn't look quite right. If something's very odd, I inform the taxpayer that's just not right, and you're probably going to get flagged for it. If you insist, these are your numbers. I don't own the numbers, but I will make note of it and have you sign it, telling you that, verifying that I've informed you that this gives me concern.
All right, Startup Nation. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We got to pay some bills. Once again, my name is Dominic Lawson, and you're listening to The Startup Life. Hey, Startup Nation. I think we can all agree that 2020 was more or less a dumpster fire, right? I mean, come on. On top of surviving a worldwide pandemic, good friends and family of mine lost their jobs, had their hours cut, or went out of business altogether. Yet many of these same people are talented creatives, web developers, photographers, graphic designers, SEO specialists, and writers with solid, marketable, in-demand skills. So I've turned them onto Hectic. Hectic is an all-in-one business management software built specifically for freelancers who are just getting started or looking to take their freelance business to the next level. Hectic is everything a freelancer needs to get started, from an easy-to-use contracts and proposal builder to client management and project tracking to expenses and invoicing that features click-to-play technology that makes it quick and easy for freelancers to get paid. And we all want to get paid, Startup Nation. Built specifically for freelancers, Hectic is everything you need to get started. Visit gethecticapp.com/the startup life now to learn more and start for free. Yep. Adding your first client on the platform will always be free. And if you sign up through gethecticapp.com/the startup life, you'll be supporting me and this podcast, because who couldn't use a little support these days, Startup Nation? Visit gethecticapp.com/the startup life to find everything you need to start or grow your freelancing business today, and put those in-demand skills to good use in the way you've always dreamed of. The link is there in the show notes. All right, Startup Nation, welcome back as we continue our conversation with today's guest here on The Startup Life.
All right.
Does that answer?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin, for that question. I really appreciate it. I want to ask you this, Ashley, really quickly, because I know that, a lot of people have been like applying for that PPP, just kind of change gears a little bit, that PPP loan, right? And stuff like that. What do I need to know? Because we've already seen a few people get in trouble, either, whether they was trying to be fraudulent or not trying to be fraudulent. But when it comes to that PPP loan and filing our taxes, what do we need to know? Because that's a big one right now.
Right. Okay. So one, don't lie when you're
that sounds fair enough.
That's the big thing. But the PPP loan is a loan that is given from the government to help businesses. It was supposed to be small businesses, but we all know that didn't quite work out that way. And if the funds are used in appropriate manner, payroll, rent, utilities, then it can be excused, or what is it? Like it no longer becomes, you don't have to pay it back.
Gotcha.
I'm blanking on the word, but you no longer have to pay the loan back if you can show that you've used the loan in the appropriate manner.
Gotcha.
That is a big thing, because if you don't have proper books and proper accounting, and you can't verify that, I did use this for payroll, or I did use this for rent, you're going to be stuck with a loan, right?
Right.
And then on top of that, you cannot, whatever funds that you use that money for, that is excused, that is forgiven, that's the word, that is forgiven, you cannot deduct that expense from your on your tax return. So if you paid 2 months' salary using the PPP loan, those are no longer deductions on your tax return.
Gotcha. I appreciate you sharing that. In that same vein, let me ask you this, because like on that federal tax return, I know with everything going on with the pandemic and stuff like that, I know they did this last year, and this is just like, just to give your commentary on what you think or whatever. I know last year they extended the date to July 15th, and I know some lawmakers have pushed to do that again this year. Do you think that would happen? Do you think that's advantageous for us? What's your thoughts on that?
I honestly it's advantageous for me. I was hoping
fair enough.
I was hoping they would, because that crunch time, it's a lot. I don't see it happening. I feel like if it was going to happen, it would have happened already, because we are 10 days away from deadlines for businesses.
Gotcha.
Business returns have to file by March 15th. So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that there's a disadvantage to the taxpayer. It gives you more time to prepare your documents and everything. And the due dates for, if anybody had to pay, the due dates were extended as well. So that was less interest, you got to hold on to your money a little bit longer without paying that interest on it. So.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this, because I know you've been, getting the word out there on social media about, if you need help with, filing your forms and stuff like that. As a, CPA, because I know there's ethical issues at hand when you're talking about,
absolutely,
and stuff like that. Do you have to be careful and mindful, from an ethical standpoint, what you can say in your advertisements when you're, advertising on social media and stuff like that?
Yes, I think so. I cringe anytime I see, someone advertising of, guarantee you $3,000 back, or guarantee a return, because everybody's situation is different. I cannot guarantee you anything until I have sat down and input your numbers, because every situation is different. Everybody is not eligible to get the same tax credits, or, they're different tax brackets, different withholdings. It's a million different things that go into understanding what your return or your payment is going to be. I'm sorry, your refund or your payment is going to be.
Right.
And no one can guarantee that without actually knowing and seeing your tax documents.
Gotcha.
So yes, and I avoid that at all costs.
That makes sense to me, because me and Kenda, we watch a lot of American Greed, right? And so we see people all the time making those statements like, we can guarantee this, we can guarantee that. And it's like, how can you guarantee that? And right, exactly. Right. And we see that a lot of times during tax season, like, we can guarantee you $3,500. We can guarantee you $10,000 per kid. It's like, how do you do that? Where do you do that over there? But
I don't know.
Right.
And it's crazy to me, because everything is aimed into making individuals believe that the bigger their tax refund is, the better. Right. Get a refund. And that's not usually the case. Usually a big tax refund shows that you're not properly planning on the front end for your taxes. You're allowing way too much federal withholdings come out of your check. Mm-hmm. If you are a W-2 worker. Now, if you don't work and you get a tax refund, then that's another thing. But if you are a W-2 worker and you get a large refund, the IRS is literally just taking your money throughout the year, held on it, did not pay you any interest. You had no ability to get it in times of need, and then gave it right back to you. So,
gotcha.
I think we have to switch our mindsets.
I appreciate that. Let me ask you this, because I know we have a lot of business owners and startup founders out there who may technically live in one state, because we're in Memphis metropolitan area. We're in a tri-state area, right? So we may have business owners who live physically in one state, but their business and operations are in a whole nother state, right? And so are there some things we need to be mindful of when we have that scenario going on?
Absolutely. It's called, you generate what's called a nexus when you operate in a different state. And so you could very well create a situation in which not only do you have to file taxes and inform the state of your businesses and pay taxes in the state that you're registered in, you also will have to do that with the state in which you operate in.
Gotcha. No, I appreciate that.
And that happens a lot to retailers, especially e-commerce that sell
that's right.
across the states. They usually form a nexus with other states as well.
Gotcha. No, that's huge information, because I know e-commerce is really big right now. So to know that information is super important.
Absolutely.
Once again, let's reset. Once again, we are talking to Ashley Garrison, CPA, the founder of GRF Financials. And if you're ready to get that help, Startup Nation, make sure you go ahead and go to the website. That is grffinancials.com. We have a link there in the show notes for easy access if you listen to the replay on the podcast. Also, if you're listening to us, if you're here on Clubhouse with us right now, know that we are recording. And if you're not listening to us on Clubhouse right now, you should be. Go ahead and follow the Startup Life on Clubhouse, so that way you can get in on the conversations when we talk to the best business minds in the world, just like Ashley Garrison here at GRF Financials. I want to ask you something, Ashley, that's, again, just kind of get your commentary, see what you think of and stuff like that. Because, some people have said that the IRS could honestly, they have all the information. They could do our taxes for us, right? Like they have all the information and stuff like that, but they want us to do it ourselves or hire yourself to kind of do that as well. And I know you do more work outside of just tax season. You really, help people mind their books and stuff like that. I guess I'm curious what you think about that. Like, should the IRS just do our taxes for us, or should we continue to do it ourselves? What you think about that?
I think that the reason why the IRS does not do it, because a lot of people do taxes wrong and end up paying more than they should pay.
Fair enough.
I think that I know that's probably taking money out of my pocket, but I believe that the tax code should not be as difficult as it is.
Gotcha.
It is extremely difficult. It shouldn't be all these exceptions and whatnot. It should be a flat fee, and the IRS tells you pay this amount on your money, and that's it. I think it's ridiculous because that sets up a situation in which a Donald Trump only pays $17. Not because he's smarter or he has more money. It's because he has more money to pay a team of people to figure out how to get around paying taxes.
Gotcha. I would love, honestly, just like, hey, you owe $30 and just pay them $30. Just be that simple for sure. But that's neither here nor there. I want to ask you about this because, we were talking about states and state fees and something like that. What are some of those general state fees? And I know it varies state to state, right? And varies state to state, business to business, and stuff like that. But what are some of those general ones out there? Because let's be honest, like when you start a company, you start a business or whatever, there's nobody from, unless you call them. And even then you have to go through 7 layers of phone, of being passed around. There's nobody to tell you, like, you got to pay this franchise and excise. You got to pay this business tax. Oh, you're a consultant. You stayed in New York. Oh, you got to pay this consultancy tax as well. So kind of share with us some of those general ones across the board, if you don't mind. You
just named the 2 biggest ones.
Okay.
Business tax. In the state of Tennessee, because we don't have income tax.
Gotcha. Right.
We have limited income tax. Most of all businesses have to pay business taxes, and that's done annually, and that's based off of your income, and each industry has a different rate.
Right.
To make it even more confusing, you have to pay annually franchise and excise taxes. Those are 2 separate taxes, but they're reported and paid for together. Franchise tax is based on the value of your company. Excise tax is based on the income of your that your business has made. Let's see. And then sales tax is the other big one. Gotcha. Not everybody, if you provide a service, more than likely you are not subjected to pay sales tax. But any retailer, and it's not even paying sales tax, it's collecting sales tax from the consumer, reporting that, and paying what you've collected to the state of Tennessee.
Gotcha.
Or to whatever state you're in.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing that. And I just wanted to say real quick to our Clubhouse participants, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. So if you have any questions, go ahead and get those hands raised, if you will. Otherwise, I'm about to start shutting this thing down because, I know Ashley has been working really hard all week, and she's been gracious enough to kind of share her Friday afternoon with us. And, I don't want to be messing up, Friday night plans or lunch or something like that. So,
that's going to happen anyway.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I appreciate that. Let me ask you this. Let's say, I don't have a business. I don't have a job. Do I have to file taxes?
It depends.
Okay.
No, if you would make any kind of income, you're getting put into the realm of having to file taxes.
Okay.
However, we have a standard deduction that's given out right now. The current standard deduction is $12,400 for a single individual. If you make under that, that means that no taxes are owed. However, if you have things like children or, if you qualify for other refundable credits, then you should still file your taxes in order to get those refundable credits.
Gotcha. Well, in that same vein, and I guess this kind of, They're very pertinent now because, a lot of people who were either working or had businesses, over the past 12, 13 months, and they had to stop working for various reasons. What are those tax implications for those who filed for unemployment?
Oh, well, so when you get unemployment, you have the option to have federal taxes withheld because that is still looked at as wage income.
Okay.
It's still taxed the same. You might get put in a different tax bracket because you're making less, but you still have to pay taxes on those quote unquote wages.
Gotcha.
And you have the ability to get them withheld just like your regular W-2 income. And at the end of the year, they will send you a form telling you how much you made and how much has been withheld. And you will either have to pay more or get a refund back of that.
Gotcha. I appreciate you sharing that. Because like I said, we've had kind of like those, record number of people applying for unemployment over the past year. And so it's kind of a new terrain for those individuals.
I've seen more unemployment forms than I've ever seen.
Gotcha. So I want to start transitioning here, like I said, wrapping up because, you've been so gracious to kind of, share your time and value and stuff like that with us. So CPA, number crunchers, right? Have you always been a number cruncher? Were you that 6-year-old in kindergarten? You're the math geek? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
I always loved it.
Gotcha. What is it about numbers and crunching numbers that just fascinates you?
Well, I'm don't ask me to write anything. I'm not good at grammar. I cannot spell.
Gotcha.
But math is just comfortable. It's a set of rules and it's going to be the same regardless. Although I would say that accounting is a lot less math than people think. It's a lot of numbers, but not a lot of math.
Gotcha. Honestly, it's like a lot of vocabulary. I remember taking, accounting, 101 and 102 in college. It's just like, man, it's more vocabulary words than it is numbers.
That's true. It's a whole different language. You're right.
Right. For sure. It's definitely a language that some people speak fluently and others, well, they'll just get in trouble. So,
that's why they need to hire an accountant.
There it is.
Everybody's not funds fluent.
Gotcha. Which is why you should hire Ashley Garrison, CPA, founder of GRF Financials. Once again, that link to her website is there in the show notes for easy access. And if you want to go ahead and give her a call, that number is 901-728-2412. That link is also there in the show notes for easy access. Real quick, Ashley, are you able to help people who are out of state as well, or you just stick to the state?
No.
Okay.
Yes, as far as tax preparation and bookkeeping, I do have clients all over the country.
Okay.
And I can have clients all over the country.
Okay.
We cannot service in like an audit or financial compilation, things of assurance nature. You have to stay in your state, but I don't offer those services.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, I don't offer them.
Okay. All right. Cool deal. So like I said, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've given us amazing value and stuff like that. But if you would, of course, because you're the homie, right? Because I had to have you on the show, and I'm so proud of what you have going and what you've been able to accomplish and stuff like that. So this is just me trying to be a part of that in some kind of way to kind of help push it forward a little bit for you. But I want to ask you this and just leave it with this. We always ask our guests to kind of leave us with some words of encouragement to take us out for the day. Would you mind doing that, good ma'am?
Oh, okay. You got me by surprise. I think the encouragement is keep going.
Gotcha.
You might hit a wall sometimes. You might go through a storm. You might not think that people believe in you. And what people really want to see is consistency. They might not cheer for you initially, but as long as you cheer for yourself and you keep going, you will see and you will reap those benefits.
Gotcha. Awesome stuff. And that's going to wrap up this session of the Startup Life. We want to once again thank Ashley Garrison of GRF Financials for coming on the show. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
And of course. And as always, Startup Nation, if you have an idea, be about that life, the Startup Life. If you want to let us know what you think about our show, have an idea for a show topic, or would like to advertise on our show, send us a message on the Startup Life Podcast Facebook page. And while you are there, like and follow our page as well. It's a great way for us to engage with you, Startup Nation, and really grow our community. The link is there in the show notes. Subscribe to the show as it can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or even on your Facebook timeline or any other platform you like to get your podcast. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you find our content valuable, please give us a 5-star rating, as it will help us climb the charts and help more people find our show. You can also listen to the show on the Startup Life Podcast new website. There you will find the all-new startup blog where I write on many topics that are interesting and helpful to you on your path to entrepreneurship. And hey, if you have an idea, be about that life, the startup life.